important for the golf swing to be able to weight shift from your right foot to your left foot, backswing to downswing, being able to just kind of have nice centered balance, nice centered turn with rotation. And then if we think of actually being on the course, how many shots are on an upslope or a downslope? A lot of times we're not on the perfectly flat fairway. How many of us have had an uneven lie in a bunker, or even where one foot's in the bunker, one foot's out? Balance is super important to help with that and allow you to perform those shots. And even in the setup posture, we want to see that ideally the weight is kind of distributed in the very middle of the foot. A lot of times I see people set up, and if you turn kind of this way, when they set up, they're too far back on their heels. So they've been told to stick their butt out, and they're like, okay, I'm doing a great job, but they haven't shifted their center of mass towards the middle of their feet, and so they're way back on their heels. That makes it hard to swing a nice balanced swing. So on their back swing, they'll actually feel a little unbalanced, and they might get too far back on their heels, which isn't a great balanced or swing, and not able to really generate as much power in the downswing if you're kind of back on your heels like that. Imagine if you are playing football and you need to be able to tackle someone and you're back here. Someone's going to push you and you're going to fall backwards. You're not able to spring forwards. So being back on your heels isn't great. Same thing when they come in the downswing. If they're back on their heels, a lot of times we see what's called hanging back. Because they've gotten so far back on their heels, they actually kind of hang back with it, where they're not able to shift their weight fully to that left side. They're back on their right side more, and now they've kind of got left gas in the tank, meaning they're not able to have a nice solid hit, nice powerful hit, because they're actually falling away from the target as opposed to towards the target. Conversely, we see people who are too far forward on their toes, and a lot of times we see this with even just bad posture, where they're kind of a rounded posture anyways. So they get too far forward on their toes, and then same thing in their backswing, they kind of either they shift back on their heels to kind of make up for the fact that they were starting on their toes too much, or they just get out of balance. A lot of times then on their downswing, they actually kind of early extend, where they kind of stand up with it because they're on their toes so much, and actually kind of push up, and their heels may even lift with that, which again can make you kind of hit the ball thin, not have great contact with it, or even have some kind of mishits. Sometimes people even whiff the ball because now they've stood up and have gotten kind of taller and farther away from the ball. The rocker board is a great option to practice a nice, even, balanced weight shift in your golf swing. So we're going to start with it facing that way, where she's going to have both feet on the rocker board. It's going to be going anterior posteriorly, or forward backwards. And the cue to Chloe is just trying to keep her weight balanced in the middle of the rocker board. So she's not too far forward on her toes, which is going to bring her far forward, and she might even fall off, or too far back on her heels. From there, once she just has a nice standing posture, then we're going to have her get in her golf posture actually. And same thing, she's going to have to get balanced. So while she has that posterior weight shift with her hip hinge, the upper body has to kind of counteract that. So she's still nice and centered in the middle of her feet, even with that flexed over position. From there, if she's able, she can even practice some golf swings with it, trying to stay nice and balanced with that. Very nice. But that's really particularly for that setup posture. This is also great for putting, because in terms of putting, balance is very important for putting, because if we're on one foot versus the other a little too much, it can definitely affect how much our putter is moving, or how much the putter face is even moving. And just a degree or two can really make a big difference in terms of putting. The other thing that we can do is, if you go ahead and step off, we can change it so now she is standing with the board going medial lateral. Yep, so facing the camera. Good. So now her weight's being shifted from the right to the left, medial lateral. So in our setup posture, we actually want kind of more of a 50-50 setup in terms of right versus left. So if you're setting too much weight on your left or too much weight on your right, this rocker board is definitely going to show you that. You're going to fall to one side. Then with that, we can practice swings. With the swing, we're actually going to see that she should shift weight back to her right side in the backswing, and then back to on her left side in the downswing. So we're going to see some movement. If it stays more centered, we're like, that's a problem. You need to shift your weight. Or if in her backswing, she actually puts more weight on her left side, that would be a problem as well, and we're definitely going to see some bad postures with that. If on her downswing, she's actually back on her right side more, that would be our hanging back posture, so that's not great as well. So because she's raised up on the rocker board, she's not actually going to be able to hit balls unless we're on an elevated surface, but it's a way to kind of practice the swing in slow motion and really see how is my weight shifting throughout my swing. Is it a good weight shift or is it bad? Is it actually going in the opposite direction that I want it to? Perfect.